Today's lesson on reading fluently again returns to phrasing, reading longer strings of words without pausing. So here we have this week's text, the Loch Ness Monster. Let's read it, and as we do, we will practice our phrasing. Remember, a phrase is a collection of words, and fluent readers read long strings or collections of words without pausing. So if we take a look at this first sentence, we see, like yesterday when we read it, it's still a very short sentence. And so ideally, a very proficient reader will read this sentence without a single pause. This is one phrase to a very proficient reader, and that's what you're aiming for. It'll sound like this. Loch Ness is a large lake in Scotland. Do you hear how I did not pause until I get to the period? Now, in the second sentence, we see at least one comma at the beginning, for many years, comma, and then we see a lot of words without commas after. So I'm going to preview the sentence by reading it out loud. For many years, and I should pause at the comma, that's a phrase, for many years, many people have been interested in the loch because of the legend of the loch. Okay, so here it's easy to sort of get lost a little bit. You got many people have been, then you got to come down the next line, interested in the loch because of the legend of the Loch Ness Monster. There's a lot of words there. So I would say a proficient reader would probably do this. Really proficient would be two phrases, but really probably three. Phrase number one is for many years. You got to pause at the comma. That's what the comma tells you to do. And then probably many people have been interested in the loch. And then something like because of the legend of the Loch Ness Monster. Probably something like that. Now, again, everyone phrases slightly differently. That's what makes reading so interesting. But that's about what you're aiming for. So let's hear how it sounds when it's all read together with great phrasing. For many years, many people have been interested in the loch because of the legend of the Loch Ness Monster. I kind of paused after because, didn't I? And that's okay. So really, there's two long phrases there. Three long phrases. There was one when I read it, and I read it again, and I stopped after because inadvertently or by mistake, I paused there, and then I read the rest of the sentence. And that's what you're going for. And notice, as you begin to improve your phrasing, the pace at which you read naturally speeds up. Not because you're reading faster, but because you're pausing less. So you can read more words per minute without having to read faster. Let's try another sentence. This sentence here. I see another comma right in the middle of the sentence, almost splits a sentence in half. So probably this is going to be a two-phrase sentence for the very proficient reader, which is what you're growing into and aiming for. It's going to sound like this. The monster is said to be a large underwater creature living in the loch. And it might not even sound like that. Let's hear it again. The monster is said to be a large underwater creature living in the loch. Yeah, it could be for most people. They actually pause after creature. The monster is said to be a large underwater creature. And then the last phrase is living in the loch. Regardless of where you pause, only one pause in this sentence for the proficient reader. And with a lot of experience, you might even read it without pausing at all. The monster is said to be a large underwater creature living in the loch. Okay, last sentence that we'll practice together today. I see one comma, that's a pause, and that's it for this sentence. So let's read it and see what we hear. Every year, people from around the world come to Loch Ness in hopes of seeing it. Well, excuse me, I'm yawning. What do you think? 2 or 3 phrases? I'm thinking 3. Every year, that could be a phrase. People from around the world come to Loch Ness. Okay. And then the third and final phrase, in hopes of seeing it. So it sounds maybe something like this. Every year, people from around the world come to Loch Ness in hopes of seeing it. There's that ever so slight, almost unnoticeable pause there between Ness and in. And again, you might pause somewhere else, and that's okay. But the point of today's work, of your lesson here, is to read and force yourself to pause less. Read longer and longer sentences. And by the way, to do so while maintaining your accuracy that you began to work on yesterday. In other words, we're trying to do multiple things at once. Right now, we're trying to read more words without pausing and read them correctly. Both of those, accuracy and phrasing, yesterday and today, have to come into play for you to improve your fluent reading skills. All right? Here is one more paragraph read for you with phrasing. Sentence 1. Over the years, there have been many reported sightings of the monster. In sentence 2, many describe seeing large, fast-moving ripples in the loch. Okay, so go for it. Practice sentence by sentence, just as I've been doing with you now. Reading each sentence with phrasing, maybe 2 or 3 phrases, and pushing yourself constantly to say the right word, but really today, to say many words without pausing. Okay, I know you can do it. Keep on practicing. I can't wait to hear how well you read this passage on Friday. Good luck, and let me know if you need anything.